Finally, we are seeing a way out of the COVID-19 pandemic, a vaccine to defeat the virus, a reason to hope that life can return to some form of normalcy. But what does this mean for us? In today's episode, we will answer your questions about the vaccine, its safety, efficacy, and much more. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. This is Med Talk Health Talk, where your health comes first. Accurate information about the COVID-19 vaccine is so important. To help us with this, we have Dr. Anna Ong Lim. She's a pediatric infectious disease specialist and member of the Health Department's Technical Advisory Group. We're also joined by Dr. Maria Victoria Pilares Cruz, a family medicine specialist and the president of the Philippine Academy of Family Physicians. Thank you both for being here with us. Now, to understand how the COVID-19 vaccine works, it helps to know how our bodies fight the illness. Dr. Cruz, can you please help explain to us how this works?
Okay, the COVID vaccine helps our bodies develop immunity to the virus that causes, of course, the disease COVID-19 without us having to get the illness. Well, in general, vaccines train our immune system to recognize and fight against these specific germs like bacteria or viruses that can actually cause serious illness. In the case of COVID vaccine, it helps our body recognize the coronavirus molecule, the RNA molecule, as foreign to our body. And therefore, this alerts our body to produce antibodies to fight them.
Now, as what Dr. Marivic said, the COVID-19 vaccine helps our bodies develop immunity to the virus that causes COVID-19 without us having to get the illness. Now, Dr. Anna, what does the COVID-19 vaccine contain? Ano ba yung laman nito? And how exactly does it help us fight off this virus?
Doc Freddy, there are several different platforms that are being utilized to deliver the protection that's necessary for our bodies. No? Now, there are some platforms that utilize the genetic material of the virus. There are some platforms that utilize the actual protein. There are some that utilize the entire virus. No? Kahit iba-iba itong mga klaseng to, ang end objective is that you have either the virus itself or part of the virus that will be the source of a stimulus for the antibodies to be formed by your body.
Now, it's important to remember that a person can still be infected with COVID-19 just after the vaccination, or it's still possible for them to be infected because the vaccine did not have enough time to provide protection. Dr. Anna, can we explain that a little more?
Some of the possibilities include that the person was already infected even before the vaccination happened, and the symptoms had not yet appeared. As the vaccination proceeds, the patient continues to be positive, but maybe it's entirely possible that the vaccine may have provided some kind of protection so the severity does not become worse. No? There's also the possibility that the vaccine did not exert full protection. No? So because we know naman that no vaccines will claim to be 100% effective, we also have to realize that when we quote these efficacy rates, they're not necessarily telling us that the vaccine is able to protect against infection or disease. Pwede ka pa ring mahawa, pwede ka pa ring magkasakit. Pero yung current numbers ng efficacy are actually intended to say that it is efficacious against disease, severe disease, or efficacious against death. No? Hindi sinasabi ng mga numbers na to na pagka nabakunahan ka, hindi ka na mahahawa or hindi ka na magkakasakit.
Now, let's talk about the new variants of COVID-19 because reports say that these are more infectious than the original virus. Dr. Marivic, can we expect even more mutations of the SARS-CoV-2 virus as long as people are getting infected without the protection of a vaccine?
Most of the mutations or changes that can happen to the virus may not have a direct benefit to the virus, or it may even be detrimental to its propagation. So many mutations can actually have no consequence on the virus' ability to spread or cause disease because they do not alter the shape of the protein. Whereas these mutations can actually be more harmful to the virus, or it does not improve its transmissibility, infection severity, and the risk of reinfection for patients.
Now, Dr. Ana, because yung mga vaccines na matatanggap natin were designed around the earlier versions of COVID-19 or yung SARS-CoV-2 virus, will the vaccine still work against the new COVID-19 variants?
I think one thing that we have to understand when we talk about variants is that it doesn't entirely change the whole structure of the spike protein, no? And so if only these little points were altered and you have an antibody that really acts against this entire thing, then we hope that the efficacy, although it can change, won't be affected as much.
In the future, would the situation be similar to getting a flu shot every year? Sa tingin niyo po, kailangan eventually magpabakuna ang mga tao every year for the COVID-19 virus, just like we do with the flu?
It's still uncertain how long the immunity from coronavirus will last if you get vaccinated. In some patients who had COVID-19, antibodies were found to be no longer detectable after several months. And so this suggests that we might be dealing with an immunity that could only last a few months, or there's another set of data that actually suggests that it can last a year or so. And so that's why it's also important to monitor those patients who will get vaccinated so that we will know how long the immunity will last.
Now, one of those things that I hear a lot is, if I've already had COVID-19, I don't need to take the vaccine anymore. Dr. Marivic, is this myth or is this fact?
Well, it's a myth, Dr. Freddy. Due to the severe health risks associated with getting the COVID-19 infection and the fact that reinfection with COVID-19 is possible, then one should still get the vaccine even if you already had the COVID-19 infection. Experts do not know, again, as I mentioned earlier, how long someone is protected from getting sick again after recovering from COVID-19. So it's still good to get vaccinated.
Now, another question we hear a lot is that researchers rushed to create this vaccine, so it means its effectiveness and safety cannot be trusted. Dr. Ana, what do you think? Myth or fact?
I would say myth. Maybe the word is not rushed, but prioritized it. Dahil nga, it was recognized that the world really needed to have this vaccine in the soonest possible time.
The next one is, getting the COVID-19 vaccine means I can stop wearing my mask and stop taking safety precautions in public. Dr. Marivic, myth or fact?
Well, this is another myth. After vaccination, we still have to follow the current guidelines to prevent the spread of COVID-19. So until we learn more about how long the protection we will have from the COVID-19 vaccines, we still need to follow all the current guidelines to protect ourselves against COVID-19.
Now, the government start rolling out our vaccination program based on priority sectors and regions identified by health experts. More on this when we come back. This is MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. The national government is targeting to vaccinate at least 70 million Filipinos to achieve what is called herd immunity. But it has also identified priority sectors and areas that will be vaccinated first. We're together in health. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Now, this question is for Dr. Ana. First, can we explain the concept of herd immunity to our viewers?
Herd immunity is the achievement of protection for a group, even if not all members of a group are vaccinated. So what we're targeting is to achieve that particular level of protection because a certain proportion of the group has already been vaccinated at babagal na at titigil sana yung pagkalat ng sakit.
Now, medical frontliners are the first to get vaccinated under the government vaccination program, followed by other frontliners related to health such as nursing aides, janitors, and barangay health workers, to name a few. Now, Dr. Marivic, what is the thinking behind progressive vaccination?
So they are prioritized because they are at the highest risk of exposure because of the nature of their work and their duty. So it's better to get them vaccinated, and so that we can still allow them to continue fulfilling their duties. The vulnerable groups, on the other hand, the senior citizens and elderly individuals, especially those with underlying medical conditions, are also at an increased risk for severe illness. That's why they are included in the priority group.
Now, let's go on to the vaccination procedure. I'll start first with Dr. Ana on this one. Dr. Ana, what type of advice can you give our viewers in terms of anong klaseng mindset dapat meron sila? What can they expect?
Alam mo, as healthcare workers, Doc Freddy, nagkaroon kami ng pre-enlistment. And I have to say there was really a high level of, I would say, excitement. No? Finally, there's something that we can do in addition to what we've been doing to really move forward with the pandemic. So sana, ganun din ang mindset ng ating mga kababayan that when the vaccine finally becomes available, that they will make an effort to be enlisted, to coordinate with their local government units perhaps, and make sure that they're on the list to receive the vaccines if they're in the priority groups.
That's right. And as Dr. Ana mentioned, there is a registration process for this, and those who have successfully registered will be provided with their vaccination date and time schedule, as well as an immunization card with a QR code to be brought to the vaccination site. Now, Dr. Ana, what happens once all of these papers are secured, properly in order? What happens once they're at the vaccination site?
We have to consider that this vaccine is not what you would call the licensed vaccine yet. No? Hindi siya yung tulad ng mga bakunang natatanggap natin dati. For example, sa adults, karaniwan ng flu vaccine or hepatitis B. Now, itong mga COVID-19 vaccines, they are under what is called an emergency use authorization, kaya medyo maproseso. Gusto nating rehistrado ang lahat ng tao para nababantayan natin sila ng maigi, and we can make sure that they continue to be safe throughout the process. So pagdating nila sa vaccination center, merong interaction with the healthcare provider para i-check kung sila ay merong mga health issues that might prevent them from being vaccinated. Meron pang tinatawag na consent form para siguraduhin na iintindihan nila kung ano yung tatanggapin nila at ano yung mga risks and benefits. And then, saka pa lang sila sasalang sa vaccination. Then after that, people are expected to stay in the center for anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes depending on the risk assessment so that they can be observed for any immediate reactions after vaccination. Then after that, meron pa. No, we are expected also to keep in touch with the health authorities kasi kung may naramdaman tayo after that, we continue to be monitored for 1 year para malaman natin kung may mga nararamdaman tayong possibly related to the vaccination.
I think you bring up a good point, Dr. Ana, because for the most part, the COVID-19 vaccine is safe for most people. Pero sino yung mga tao na who can not safely get vaccinated?
The only absolute contraindication or talagang pinagbabawal will be an individual who already has severe allergies after the first dose of the vaccine has been administered. So sa screening process, tinitignan natin yung mga may prior history ng severe allergy, sila yung iniingatan natin. Di natin sinasabing bawal silang mabakunahan, but they will probably be asked to stay in an area for observation for a longer period. And of course, these vaccination centers will be equipped with medications that will provide first aid or intervention or the appropriate medication for severe allergies. Now, yung iba, yung mga, let's say, may immunocompromising conditions, mga buntis, nagpapasuso, they will be assessed individually para malaman natin kung pwede silang bakunahan base dun sa kanilang health condition at saka yung risk nila na magkaroon ng COVID-19. Tinitimbang natin kung yung risk ng bakuna ay mas malaki pa dun sa risk na magkasakit sila, then we will see whether they qualify for vaccination or not.
herd immunity is a possible way to contain the spread of COVID-19. Dr. Marivic, what are the challenges in developing herd immunity to COVID-19?
We need to make sure that we have immunity for a large part of our population. However, it is difficult to achieve that because we can only achieve that in two ways. One is we get as many people infected so that their immune system will develop naturally. The first option is a little bit dangerous kasi hindi natin alam kung in-expose natin lahat ng Pilipino, ilan doon yung magkakasakit ng mild, ilan yung magiging serious diseases. And therefore, we might not be prepared with the consequences, no, kung magkaroon ng maraming severe cases of critical COVID-19. And so that is probably not a good option. So the second option is to get as much of our population vaccinated. And according to the DOH, to achieve herd immunity, they're targeting by 2023, we should have vaccinated 75 to 80% of our population.
A quick follow-up question, Dr. Marivic. Para dun sa mga hesitant pa rin to get vaccinated kasi either dahil sa takot, either dahil hindi nila alam kung anong mangyayari sa kanila, which is more or less the reason kung bakit ayaw nilang magpabakuna. What can you advise?
Kailangan talagang pag-aralan ng bawat Pilipino yung mga kabutihan na madudulot ng vaccine. At sa mga pag-aaral naman, nakitang the benefits really outweigh the risk. And if we want to protect ourselves and our family, I think it is a ethical and moral obligation that we all get vaccinated.
You're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. There are some important reminders before, during, and after getting vaccinated. We'll find out after a short break. With most COVID-19 vaccines, getting 2 shots is all that is needed unless stated otherwise by your vaccination provider. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. MedTalk Health Talk is your connection to healthcare. Before you get the vaccine, you should see if it's recommended for you right now. Now, Dr. Ana, what else should we do before getting the vaccine? Are there medications that can interfere with the vaccine?
Right now, the only precautions that have been listed in most of the guides has been possible bleeding risk kung sakasakaling mainiksyonan. No? So for people who are taking blood thinners or I would call it antithrombotic medications. No? Kasi baka pag tinurukan and the needle that's used is yung medyo large bore, pwedeng magkaroon ng, di naman sobrang agos ng dugo, but you know, you can have some kind of bleeding risk. No? So that's something that we ask about during the screening process. People who are on immunosuppressants or who are receiving special medication should also be assessed by their doctor. So individualized assessment yan. Kasi alam mo kung tutuusin, ito rin yung grupo na mataas ang risk kung magkaroon sila ng sakit eh. So they're precisely the group that we want to target, but we want to be careful that we're not exposing them unnecessarily to any problems. And in the most part, no, for the doses that have already been dispensed globally, no, naka 100 million doses na tayo, maganda naman ang response. Walang masyadong safety issues na na-encounter.
Now, Dr. Ana, you mentioned earlier that one of those that need to be careful are those who are pregnant din. Kasama ba dito ang mga children? Sila dapat hindi dapat munang magpabakuna?
Yes, that's right, Doc Freddy. Currently, wala pa kasing mga studies na nagsasabi na pwedeng i-administer tong vaccine na to individuals below 16 actually. Si Pfizer kasi has a study for 16 and above. Eh. So ang EUAs have only been authorized or issued for 16 and above for Pfizer and everything else is 18 and above. So bawal pang ibigay sa mga bata sa ngayon.
Dr. Marivic, ano yung mga posibleng side effects naman ng pagkuha ng COVID-19 vaccine?
Okay, the side effects are not really bad in a way because they are a sign that our body is actually responding to the stimulus, which is the vaccine. So it's building protection. But most of the common side effects that have been noted with the COVID-19 vaccine is pain or swelling in the arm. So wherever you receive your shot, some will also experience fever, chills, feelings of tiredness, headaches, but these symptoms should actually go away in a few days. In the study of, for example, Pfizer, uh, the most common symptoms that they noted in the age group that they tested the vaccine was fever. And this was manifested after the second dose, while fatigue, chills, headaches were also more common after the second injection. And as I said, this is actually a good sign, which means that the vaccine is working.
That's right. And if the side effects are worrying you and don't seem to go away after a few days, then you should be consulting your doctor. Dr. Anna, are these side effects enough to warrant our viewers enough concern? Dapat ba silang matakot na makuha ang vaccine because of the possibility of these side effects?
I think kailangan nating i-differentiate yung sinasabi nating karaniwang mga side effects compared to yung severe side effects na syempre binabantayan din natin. Maybe to put it in perspective, yung binabantayan nating mga severe allergic reactions, you know the chances of getting struck by lightning are higher than getting a severe anaphylaxis from a COVID-19 vaccine.
Well, there you have it. That was one very interesting and timely discussion. And we'd like to thank our guests, pediatric infectious disease specialist Dr. Anna Ong Lim and family medicine specialist Dr. Maria Victoria Pilares Cruz. The pandemic will not end overnight after getting vaccinated, but it's an important step towards putting an end to this pandemic. The combination of getting vaccinated and following safety protocols will offer the best protection from COVID-19. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, helping build a healthier future for you. Thank you for watching.